We live. We live.
We live. All right, everybody. Welcome to Black Noise. It's me, Tre, my cousin Jeremy. We're just here to talk about, a really interesting movie that we heard about and, put on to my cousin a few weeks ago. It's called Fire and Ice. Written and produced by Ralph Bakshi. Art is by Frank Frazetta. He's a well-renowned artist. I'm about to play you the actual trailer right now. Then we'll get into the plot, go into me and his, correspondence on how the movie went, and then we'll give it a rating at the very end.
In an age of myth and legend, the world trembles before the power of Necron, master of evil, ruler of ice. Against him stand Tigra, princess of Firekeep and captive of the ice demons. Larn, last of a mighty warrior tribe, and her only hope of escape. And Dark Wolf, mysterious avenger and sworn enemy of the Ice Tyrant. Their courage will be tested. The challenge must be met. The final battle between the armies of the cold and the keepers of the flame is about to begin. Fire and Ice, from the visual imagination of Ralph Bakshi and the dazzling artistry of Frank Frazetta. A fantasy adventure from 20th Century Fox.
What did you think about the movie when you like upon first viewing? What did you think?
So straight off rip, I was getting, old vibes of when I was watching Thundercats, back on the couch. I'm like, yo, this feels so familiar, but I knew I've never heard or ever seen of this movie. So I love the aesthetic because it feels like I went back in time, back to my childhood and was just watching it. I'm like, yo, this is such an interesting art style, or not an interesting art style. I just love this type of art style. And I remember when we were talking, you had mentioned it was rotoscope.
Yeah, the rotoscope.
Rotoscope. So the when I was watching, I was really trying to pay attention to, some of the characters' drawings and how they were moving, and I was like, okay, I see exactly where how they're moving, like individuals versus an animation that you'll typically see, because sometimes they'll do some type of flex movements that you'd be like, that's not humanly possible, but everything felt very like you know accurate to how human movements did work. So
Cool, kind of.
I like that.
Yeah.
It was definitely cool with seeing to how they decided to animate the different scenes with the ice, and kind of it really made me look at the evolution of animation. What we have today versus what it was back in. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, it's more visually, conceptually, and abstractly pleasing to me watching films like this than it is like the new anime or the new age animations, because they're a lot more, I don't want to say realistic, but too there's a
Pretty.
lot. Huh?
It's too pretty.
It's very pretty, right? And
It's
then
it's so realistic that it makes it's kind of like it hits that uncanny valley where it's like I've never seen a flower look this pristine in nature.
it, exactly,
But then
right.
when you look at something like this, it's like even when you look at the like the background vegetation and stuff like that, it's like that looks like something that's been sitting there for about like 50, 60 years untouched. It's post-apocalyptic, so there might be some soot on there, there might be something like that, and it looks like that without like you don't have to see it flow in the wind. You don't have to see all these minute details. You can kind of tell to like, all right, that's a dirty leaf over there, or that's a creek over there that's filled with like, fish or whatever like that. You don't even really have to see all the detail. You can just tell.
Exactly. And it's beautiful how they built that world out. I'm really huge on world building, especially in animation.
Me too.
And how they built that world out with the most simplistic details. Um, but it spoke volumes to how like that world was, that time, that age period, like it spoke it out perfectly. I mean,
With that being said, based on that, I found myself when I was watching it, like there be certain scenes like not to skip ahead a whole lot, but this is kind of in the middle of the movie. But like when Tigger meets the witch and the giant, I think
mm,
it's Atwa.
I
Um,
name.
I wanted to know a lot more about them and like, okay, so why are y'all here? Like, where did y'all come from? How are y'all surviving? Because it's like you got Fire Keep over here and you got Ice Peak over here, and y'all somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know about both ends, but y'all are still surviving. So how are y'all
Exactly.
getting
Is
mad at
were the
everybody?
other middle ground people, like, that was other witches or things like that, or was it just her as the anomaly? And
See,
what was also weird, when she, like, when the house caught on fire and everything and she burnt up, how she was able to come back for like that split second. I mean, that little part, but it was still like, that, I guess, emphasizing her power as a witch.
well, that comes back to Ice Peak, which is for the listeners, Ice Peak is the antagonist group, and then Firekeep are kind of like the protagonists. They're the people who live close to the volcano. Ice Peak are the ice witches and wizards and stuff like that that kind of dwell in the darkness. But when I saw that part, it kind of drove my mind to think like, okay, well, this is post-apocalyptic, so they have some technology because you see them swinging like swords and um, they have chains and people have armor and they have certain things they can use like cauldrons and stuff like that. Like they have some kind of technology, but they also rely on magic. So it's kind of like a rebuilding of civilization. So it's like certain people have magic and then certain people don't, and you can tell it's kind of like a class system because like she thought she was better than the subhumans, and she even called them subhumans and
Mm-hmm.
Necrons dogs because she can do magic, and then she thought of herself as higher than Atwa because he's like a giant or like an inbred or something like that. But she even said like, "Yo, you can enter the house because it's not barred." So that tells you that sometimes she has to bar up the house because he's not welcome always.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of drove my mind, just like hearing like subtle things like that, and that just goes back to like the genius of like the writing of the movie and the artwork because like even though like they're just like we only saw her in her house, you learned a lot about her.
Mm-hmm.
You learned about her personality. You learned about how she treats people. How she thinks of herself, how she looks at outsiders. All that from just her living room and like what she had around her and her personality. So I thought that was really cool. What'd you
I
think?
hope I would. My only thing was I wish she played a little bit of a bigger part.
Me too.
It's and especially with her arts of I don't know if she intervened in any way with Necron, but it was still kind of interesting. Well, I mean, but of course she knew of him and everything, and you could tell she respected him as a black arts user.
Hmm.
But it would have been cool to see them clash a little bit more, using both of them using their dark arts.
Right. Like, how did you even learn magic? And it's like like I said, we're in a post-apocalyptic world. How did you learn magic? Where did you come from? Who are your people? Are y'all related? Like, how do you know these people?
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Um, Going back to the beginning of the movie, we see Queen Juliana. She kind of has like the first dialogue of the movie, and she kind of like breaks down the world and stuff like that. How did you feel about that? Because I really like the way that she talks, and like it's kind of like a slurred like power hungry type of voice that she has. Like she doesn't really all the way pronounce all her words, but then she kind of, I don't know, it kind of gave me a different feel for like the world and kind of set the standards for like how she was as a person.
Long ago, at the end of the last great ice age, there arose in the north a powerful queen. Her name was Juliana, and her ambition was to extend her realm to all the regions of the known world. To this end, she gathered an army, and she bore a son, and named him Necron, and him she tutored in the black arts and in the powers of the mind. And when Necron came of age and attained mastery of those powers, together they seized control of the region of ice. And from their castle called Ice Peak, they sent a giant glacier rumbling southward. No village or people could stand against its relentless onslaught. And so the remnants of humanity fled south and huddled for warmth among the volcanoes of a mountain region ruled by a generous king named Jero, from his fortress which men called Fire Keep. And still Necron pushed the ice ever southward into the temperate zone toward Fire Keep. And no one dared guess at the outcome of a meeting on the field of battle between fire and ice.
As a person, what did you think?
Well, it definitely reminded me of I don't know if you've seen what's that dang show called golly, why am I drawing a blank on this show?
Game of Thrones.
It was a huge medieval show that everybody was talking about.
Game of Thrones.
House of Game of Thrones. There we go. Game of Thrones. She reminded me of the mother. And it's been a while since I've seen the show, so I kind of forgot some of the names.
You good? Because I have not seen the show. I just kind of know it from like Instagram and like social stuff like that. So
okay.
You good? You good?
For those watching and know the show, y'all know what I'm talking about. That mother of the stupid brat. We all know who he's talking about.
Oh man, I feel like I just heard bro's name the other day though. But all right, I get what you.
Godfrey
or Joffrey.
And then his mother.
Okay.
Me of her because they were both on kind of a power trip and think that they can use their son specifically as their way to oh yeah, I have control of everything because this is my son, he gonna do everything for me because I taught him things. So she did have kind of that power trip mentality and thinking that she was ruled, but then later on as you see the movie,
turn the tables on her
son, like what I'm doing this, not you. Like what do you think? So it was interesting at the movie. I mean, at the beginning when she did kind of set the tone for that. And what was kind of weird to me was that she taught him dark arts, but it didn't seem like she didn't know dark arts.
Yeah, it was like she taught him more than she knew, and I'm like, hold on,
right.
How can he use it against you if you taught him?
Unless there's only certain people are compatible. So I did have a couple of questions as far as that, but unanswered questions that we probably, I don't know if we would get an answer to or not, but my guess was that some people are more inherent to using dark magic than other people, or just have a talent for it, kind of like they pick, the dark arts can pick who is better. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of valid too, because even if going back to the other witch, her son was a giant, and she knew he was strong, but he was only physically strong. He wasn't mentally strong. So maybe Necron is just mentally more there than she is, just based on age, or just he might just be smarter than her innately. So maybe it's an intelligence thing, and that's what drives the magic.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Because I mean, even the subhumans, they're watching her do the magic, but they can't do it.
They can't do it. Yeah.
So
there's probably some truth, a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me. And definitely, just starting off out the gates, that was questions that initially hit me before the movie even started. I'm like, damn, that's interesting. But yeah, moving on. So what did you think about their relationship with the subhumans and even calling them subhumans? Because at first, I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro, I was like, are they on some racist shit? Because all the subhumans is black. All of them. Why they all black?
They was making the sounds. They was. I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, they all sound like they speaking some kind of African language, bro. Come on now, that ain't cool.
So I tried my best. When I go into especially new stuff, I try my best not to always throw in the race part about it. But I agree with you. It was a little kind of suspect how they you could tell it was loosely based off of you know what they perceive as African tribes back in the day of like being very um was not
Primitive.
what's the word I'm looking for,
Like primitive.
uh uh
Primitive.
primitive, right. It was a different word, but anyways, the whole idea and basis off that is always it's always a dodgy subject because just because you never know if it's like or if it's just like loosely based because
See, and that's the wild thing, man, because Ralph Bakshi, like he's got other movies, and
mm,
his movies usually do tie into like classism, racism, sexism, um, American culture, pop culture at the time. He's real big in the '80s, so like the '80s was a crazy time. Like he had, he was coming right off of civil rights.
mhm,
It was kind of in turmoil as far as like the drug wars and stuff like that. So like people just definitely had like an innate, view of a certain sect of people. So my upon my first viewing of it, I noticed that, but I had to like just like you, I had to like consciously like put that out of my mind, like
right.
I can't think about it like that. I'm just gonna look at the movie. I'm just gonna look at the movie. But it's like as you watch it, you just like you can't help but like make correlations and like you realize that the the creator of the movie is white. His name is Ralph Bakshi. He's European, so it's like he's got like this view of black folks, and he just kind
Mhm.
of like painted the subhumans as that. Because I was looking at Necron, and I'm like, Necron, you're not necessarily white, and your mom's not necessarily white, but there are white people. Like we see
Exactly.
that.
The only time that they show the black people,
Yeah,
they,
man.
well, they don't. They are what they're what you understand them to be saying is gibberish, or and they're primitive.
Yeah, or it's like a broken form of their language. Cause like they say Tigra, but they don't say like you guard Tigra. They're like blah 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 blah, blah Tigra.
The word I was looking for was barbaric.
Okay, okay.
They always try to paint a barbaric image of how like African tribes used to be and things like that. It's like they were a lot more organized.
They definitely were.
So it's
To the untrained eye, I can see how you would think that, but it's like they were definitely like way more like civilized than like these European nations.
man,
You know what's up?
topic for discussion. But, you know what I'm
Oh man, yeah, definitely.
I mean, but minus or just taking away any of that. I was definitely it was definitely interesting to see, I guess, the kind of different classes of the people, because we didn't necessarily see like citizens. We
No.
only saw high tier, then subhuman or like foot soldier type people, and then um, some of the warriors from other villages. There was no middle ground of just regular citizens or anything like that. So I don't know if it was mainly everybody was kind of a warrior back then, but no, they couldn't be, because they showed women, and they showed how they actually took one of the women. I wonder what happened to her. It was like right at the beginning, after the ice kind of took over the first of the Northern Kingdom's wall.
Hmm.
Everybody was all spread out, pretty much dead, and you could see there was a scene where the the golly they were surrounding this one girl from the citizens, but we don't see her after that. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When we first meet like Lauren, and they're like he's laying on the ground and he's like pretending to be dead or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. Based on what I saw, I think it was like you were either royalty, part of like the aristocratic like teaching class. So like
Hmm.
you were already an educated person, you were just gonna
Right.
teach other people. Like the lady that was like tutoring Tigra, I would
Hmm.
put her in that category. And then everybody else is either like a merchant or just a warrior.
Right.
And then below them is just like the subhumans who are like all of them are pretty much just warriors upon call. Um, but yeah, I mean that's a valid point though. It wasn't a whole lot of like diversity as far as like what you could be. You're either like fighting in this war commanding this war, or you're just so below this war that like you don't even really even matter.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was definitely interesting to see how those classes came into play.
It definitely was. It definitely was. So what did you think about like how? Because I don't know. If I was Lauren, the main character, he's the blonde haired, pretty much rocking a mullet with a braid down the back. He dedicates his life to Tigger off like 5 minutes of eye contact. He was like, you know what? That's my.
Like, and I'm telling you, I was like, but I mean, here's my thing: can you blame him?
Can't blame him though. He's not stupid.
For one, she came in with a quickness, out of nowhere. First off, just straight up took the meat out of his hand, ate it, took off.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be like, hey yo, what's it? And let's not talk about. Like I said, I do want to get into the who that character was, who they drew her based off of, because Shorty was packing.
Yo, she has some yams on her.
An understatement, bro. That's an understatement, bro. I was throughout the whole movie, or when she first came on the camera, I'm like,
bro,
hey, who is this?
I was not even expecting that. Like when I first saw it, I was like, well, first of all, who are you? Second of all, where your clothes at?
No, for real. Like they didn't have everybody else. Well, I mean, nobody really had clothes back then.
Not really, but she.
No, like nobody in that thing. Nobody in the show had any clothes except for the mother, and
she had a whole gown. She had a whole dress and shirt.
Everybody else was practically naked.
Pretty much, pretty much.
But nah, back to what I was saying. No, I don't blame him. I don't blame him for the 5 minutes. And we all kikiing, having a great time. Yeah. Whole time though, I'm like,
I was like, you see, this man is over here to hunt it for his own food. You just gonna walk up and take it?
Walk up and take it.
You're not gonna be like, hey, my name is Tigger, like what, like nothing. You about to just walk over here, grab you a leg, and walk off? Like, come on now. And you left him 3 berries, like not a bushel, just 3 berries. Like, what the fuck? What am I gonna do with this?
You really did just what you said.
She said, here you go.
But could you? That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I would have been intrigued too. I'd have been like, yo, who is this? Let me find out. Let me get to know you a little bit better. I mean, especially after my whole village just got wiped out. Maybe I talk to what do I got to lose at that point?
My man Lauren was like, I can do a side mission real quick. That's all right.
Which was because despite all this stuff that was on, they both were just trusty from the both of them, which was surprising to me because I'm like, yo, you just came from getting kidnapped. You don't know who this dude is. Meanwhile, everybody and their mama after you, Lawrence, and your whole village is wiped out. You don't got nobody to really trust. So it's like, I mean, I'm trying to think, did they ever exchange words maybe, or because they really didn't talk.
No, they did a whole lot of dialogue between each other. They really didn't. So, it was also like we're like products of the same environment. Your enemy is my enemy. That makes you my friend. So basically, you fine as hell. So you double my friend.
It's like, hey, you know what? Let's see what happens. What do you got to lose?
Right. My man Lauren's like, hey, bro. First of all, Dark Wolf, bro. I'm gonna need you to team up with me, bro. You don't like me either. All right, bro. We on the same team.
Oh me. He was the only person that he was suspicious of too.
You said what?
That was the only person Lawrence was suspicious. When he came up initially, he was on guard instantly.
Bro, everybody was catching smoke. Everybody was catching smoke. He saw that man with that metal axe. He said, oh, that man got that action. I need to be his friend.
For real, nah, I don't blame you. I don't know who dude was. I don't know where he came from, whose team he's on. He ain't need no magic, no nothing. Boy came out with a quick
hands. Dishing out punishment, man. And the funny thing about him is, like, he's not even mentioned by name in the movie at all. Like, nobody calls him by name. His name is Dark Wolf, but you only know that by looking him up.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, which makes sense because I mean, I thought he was a Panther. I thought he was wearing like a Panther head.
That's
But
what I was thinking.
man, homie tough.
That's,
He has so much presence. He don't even got he don't need a name. He don't need nothing. He just
nah.
walked in.
He said, first of all, bro, I got my noble steed right here. She black too. I got my hood on. That's it. I got my axe and my sword. That's all I need. Lauren was like, yo, it's like 50 of them over there. We gonna be all right? He's like, yeah, that sounds about right. I was like, damn, he don't even care.
Get out of here. No. The hell you won't. Go find the girl.
And it's crazy. Even from the jump, though, you knew he was gonna be on some dirt, or not on some dirt. Just be one of them ones. Because this man was standing off in the far distance. Couldn't even see. He wasn't even really on the screen. Just a black dot.
Right.
Horse just looking.
He was like, let me see. Let me peep the scene real quick. How many of them is it? 50? I can take that.
Say not a lick of thing to nobody. Just watching.
Just watching, bro. Just peeping. He didn't even want the girl. He was like, hey, yo, where the girl at? And Lauren's like, I couldn't find her. He was like, bet.
Back to it.
Right, we about to get back to business, bro. It's about 25 of them coming. Throw these rocks.
Hey, go get your girl. I got all these dudes. Don't even worry about it.
Right, don't even sweat it, bro. I'm about to take care of this business right here. Easily one of my favorite characters, bro. When Dark Wolf came on, and that goes back to the storytelling, man, because it's like that's a good storytelling element. The fact that like they don't even call him by name, that means he's not called upon. Nobody summons him. He follows his own rules. He go where he want to go. He leaves when he wants to leave, and he fights when he want to fight. And he just happened to fight at the right times, and he was on the right side. He, even after everything was said and done, and they had won and everything like that, it wasn't like he was looking for like no accolades or anything like that. My man rode off and was like, "All right, y'all, I see you."
On to the next one, bro.
Right, we're about to go collect some more skulls, bro.
Literally, he was about the hands. He said, "Yo, point me to the strongest. I'm there." Boy, was the Toji of the what you call it, bro.
Bro, I think he had one of the most powerful quotes in the movie too. He said something when he after Lauren and Tigra, get separated for the first time, and Lauren was abducted by that sea monster.
Mm-hmm.
He ties him up on like this like pyre type of thing. I think he called it a tyro or something like that. It was TAIRO. But the only reason why he did that was so that Lauren wouldn't hurt himself, because he was like poisoned by the sea monster. He told him that. He said, "Hey boy," he said, "don't go hunting for death. It comes for." He said, "Don't go hunting for death. It comes for all of us soon enough."
You've caught me, but you'll never hand me over to Necron. You'll have to kill me first.
Don't hunt for death, boy. It finds us all soon enough.
When he said that, I was like, damn, that's cold. Because, like, Lauren was just out there, like, just swinging wild. Like, he didn't care. He didn't know what was. He was like, if you going to kill me, but you ain't going to take me to Necron. He was like, first of all, bro, if I wanted to kill you, you'd have been dead.
No, facts.
Like, you'd have been dead, bro. You just tied up right now because I don't want you to hurt your damn self. Like, you an idiot. But anyway, I'm about to help you out, and, I'm about to spit some knowledge to you real quick, take to your lady. But, yeah.
No, facts.
He was one of the most. I think he was one of the most pivotal characters in the whole movie.
No doubt, and especially for being the name. I mean, he was the one that ended it all to begin with. So it's only right, but it's more so the fact that they were able to make, for one, such a likable character to be absolutely unknown. You don't know nothing about him. He just comes up on the screen.
You don't even know what he looks like for real, because he keeps the hood on.
Keeps the hood on. Like, most mysterious character, but always ends up being the most liked,
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Batman of the group.
Yeah, for real.
Dang, my phone.
And he was knowledgeable about the land. Like, he knew both sides. Like, he knew about Firekeep, he knew about Ice Peak. He knew, how to track people because like once they come up on the scene, he unties Lauren from the thing or whatever. He's like, all right, let's go find out where your girl is. He just walked up, picked up some dirt. All right, bro, they went west. It took your girl.
Right.
I was like, damn, my man cold with the tracking.
Overall, cool character, man. Those be the best types. But...
Oh my gosh. He's just a cool character. Even down to the design. Like, his eyes were green, but that's because of the hood. Like, bro, come on now. He had, I think he hands down had like the best design out of.
Oh, my man was the main character without even having to be.
Main character, no name. Oh man. But another question I have for you, bro, was how do you think so Tigra gets abducted by she ultimately gets stolen from her castle by the subhumans while they're trying to set a treaty with King Gerald, which is, Fire Keep's king or whatever. They're on some like Skyvy shit, so they're gonna abduct her and then ask for a truce at the same time. But things kind of go sideways, and they find out that she's being abducted. She still gets abducted. How do you think that the subhumans knew how to contact Juliana, but didn't know how to do magic? Because it looked like they took like some stuff, just threw it in the fire, and then she just appeared. And then she was talking to him, and I'm just thinking, like, how? First of all, Juliana, how do you know how to talk to these people, and then how do they know how to understand you? And then how did she just kill them from the fire? Like, it just seemed like it was like, again, it adds to the story, and it's just like these are questions that I have that weren't really answered, but they intrigued me about the movie.
So, I mean, that probably just goes deeper into the dark arts. I mean, there must have been some type of spell or things to where, she has the ability to communicate with anybody, and they can understand her. She can understand them. As far as the contact, it's probably just as simple as, hey, I got this wood, right? This is enchanted wood. If you need to get in touch with me, throw it in the fire. It comes up. Some of that, it just ties back to actually, of how much power she actually had.
True.
And it's funny that I was just saying that she doesn't really display as much power, but she did kind of teach. She had to have taught Necron to begin with, so naturally she would have to have power.
Yeah. She's got.
But they didn't really play it as far as just that, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're kind of right on that. That's a bit of a, I guess you call it a plot hole.
A little bit.
Or just not even a plot hole, more so just unanswered questions of the true nature of the dark arts and how much she knew, and pretty much that scaling of what does she know that makes her powerful versus what Necron knows and that makes him more powerful. True. Because it seems that all Necron can do is control ice. Whereas
not necessarily though, because he could also control people's like body movements and stuff too.
Oh, right. You're right. Maybe it's more so water manipulation than ice.
They might be some waterbenders, bro. You never know.
Right? Because I just, the blood bending type.
Yeah, out here blood bending, dog. Because that's what it looked like. I mean, when he was controlling the soldiers and made them like attack each other, I was like, Amma definitely did that to Sokka and Aang, bro. Seen that before.
Now that I bring that up, it was interesting because when you are looking at the beginning and you're watching kind of the movement of the ice and how it springs up, you notice it's like it's kind of fluid.
Yeah.
Like it does look like it is just water kind of springing up versus, ice. So maybe
it's very similar to how they like when not to tie Avatar into all this, but it kind of does. Whenever you see like the water benders like bend ice, They can sharp ice, or they can do like these like pointy, like cylindrical looking things that kind of stick out, kind of just like how that ice was sticking out.
Exactly. So maybe his arts was more surrounded by, certain elements.
For
So
sure.
the element of water.
For sure. I mean, and speaking of the elements, Tigra's tutor, when we're talking to her in her little her little castle,
Yeah, her little side room.
her room or whatever, they were talking about the elements, and they were talking about how the elements coincide with each other, and what this element is and what this element is. So was she teaching her magic? I don't know. Was she teaching her how to understand and like notice magic? Maybe. It'd have been interesting if Tigra had magic powers though, but at the same time, if she didn't use them that whole time, I'd be looking at her like, bro,
for real,
you couldn't make nothing happen.
I mean, based off the fact that she was running barefoot the entire time and ain't catch not a single stray, she might know type of dark arts.
She might know something, dog. She was half butt ass naked out there, dog.
Butt ass,
full clip.
No, as a matter of fact, another question I actually had, and I mean this is kind of going not off topic, but a little bit, was when they did capture her.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to when they captured her, how'd they get her down?
Down from
Because they climbed up the side of a big ass mountain, right?
Oh, yeah.
Took her off and just slung her over the shoulder and just climbed back down.
Bro, he did just kind of tote her down, like, "Hey, bro, you with me now." So I'm just one hand down all that shit, and she kicking and screaming. Boy,
and entire time
they ain't drop her at all. She had no cuts or scrapes or nothing. So like,
and you saw that they climbed up high.
Yeah,
that wasn't no first floor type thing. No, they was climbing up for like a whole mountain.
Yeah, it's like, how do you not drop her at all? Like, y'all could have ran down the stairs. At that point, like, you'd already taken out the tutor. She's under your control. You could have just ran down the stairs, bro. Like, it's already war, so shit.
That's crazy. No, I'm mad I just thought about that, though. I ain't questioned that not one single bit. I'm like, dang, they got her.
Bro, I've seen this movie over 5 times, and I never questioned that until you said that. And I was like, it just made perfect sense. Like, yeah, they got her down from the tower. Easy. No, my thing was... Excuse me. My thing was when she got captured for the second time. So the first time she gets captured, they take her down, and they're in the woods or whatever like that. They're trying to feed her this disgusting looking bug juice, medley, whatever it was. She throws it away. And then they're drinking some kind of like alcohol or something like that. They get drunk.
Yeah.
And they tie a chain around her and around one of these dudes that's supposed to guard her.
Mm-hmm.
When she killed him, why did she just pull him with the chain? Why didn't she just pull the chain off of him and just dip? Or take the chain off?
I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, no survival skills for one.
Bruh.
She thinks she could cut the chain.
She tried multiple times to cut that chain. I'm like, first of all, that's stone. That's made out of stone, sweetheart. Like, that's metal right there.
And to your point, it wasn't like he did any fancy nodding or anything like that. Literally, while he's dead, just get close to him. Just kind of undo whatever thing. Gone.
Right, because it's not like you can tie a chain in a knot. Like, it's a chain. You just got to undo the chain part, and you out.
So, I mean, there was no locks, no nothing. So I don't know. I was definitely confused on that part too. There was definitely some, IQ missing throughout that entire sequence. But that's besides the point. She got away. I don't know why she decided to pull him. I really don't know why she decided.
That would have been the last thing I would have done. I would have sat there and cut him apart before I would have sat there and tried to pull him. Because I mean, you're dragging another human body around people who are sleeping. Like, they sleep, they ain't dead. So it's like,
Yeah,
He's trying to not make noise.
She is strong for doing it. I was surprised that she was able to get that body over the edge like that, and make decent distance without alerting a single person.
Yeah, I think old buddy just happened to just wake up just because. Like I don't even think he heard her. I think he just happened to wake up and saw that she wasn't there. Like I was like, man, you could have been gone. You could have been at fire keep by this point. Like,
No, but yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. There was like small little elements that did have me kind of be like, it don't make sense. But watching it, say if you were a kid watching that, you probably wouldn't question that too
oh,
much.
for sure, yeah,
You wouldn't even be thinking about that too much.
for sure, for sure. But I mean, even stuff like that, it just kind of adds to the lore, and it's like you've been like you're obviously getting tutored by somebody, so like they care about your education. So it's like, what are they really teaching you? Like, what's important to know in this world? And it's like clearly like survival isn't one of them things because you didn't have a whole lot of survival since you jumping into random ass lakes, eating these random ass berries. You don't know how to hunt. Like Lauren is out here like thugging it, bro. He was like, man, if I stayed out here for another 20 years, bro, I'll be straight because I'm about to just hunt and I'm good.
Hey, but that kind of comes with that, privilege. I mean, she was probably privileged her whole life. She didn't know, too much war, things like that. That's why even when, she was all like, "Oh, Necron's people are coming," like, she was like, "Oh, I want to go see him." Like, no type of fear, in type of like, oh my god, like Necron's people are coming. Like what? Like, she was just like, "Yeah, no, I want to go see him." Do you not understand that this thing?
You don't get this. This is a conquest. This isn't a dispute. He does not like y'all.
That's privilege.
You married.
But that's kind of what privilege would do to you. You think the world kind of revolves around you in that sense. So I mean, I'm pretty sure that was it. It should have been a humbling experience for her, but it didn't really seem like it.
I mean, I would like to think so, but I mean, towards the end, well, not even. Let me back up a little bit, because when her and Lauren are like, frolicking in the woods or whatever before, like after she tried to steal his food, the nighttime comes and she's like, "Ooh, it's getting cold," and Lauren is like, "Yeah, that's Necron's. That's Necron's power. That's what he does." And she's like, "Oh, I've just always grown up around a fire."
Right.
That kind of puts things in perspective. It's like, oh, you've never even felt cold like that before. That's why you wear the shit that you wear. That's why you out here how you are. It's because you don't really comprehend the danger that you're in. You're just here because this is unfamiliar to you. You don't realize these people can kill you at any time.
At any time. I mean, she was bold with like a lot of her escapes and doing, pretty much anything she did. She was bold.
Oh,
she was
first.
So it's like, I can't blame her for, or I'm not mad at her character as far as like, her, I guess, instinct to do certain things. It's just more so the IQ of it was kind of a little low.
Off. IQ. Yeah, definitely.
Stuff at the beginning when she dipped off under the water. She was smart for that one.
That one was pretty smart. That one was pretty smart. The fact that she realized that like they wouldn't be able to like tell
exactly
what was going on, I was like, all right, I give you, snaps all around for that one because that was good. That was a good little escape.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, damn, y'all didn't see her swimming under that water. But then I thought about it. I was like, that is kind of like some murky ass water. You probably didn't see nothing.
Ooh! I can't wait for for her to come back up again.
Right? They was waiting, bro. They was ready. I was like, eyes on the prize.
Yeah, I was about to say that's what them curves will do to you, man.
Boy,
you gotta be careful.
Boy, and then Juliana was like, "Oh, you let her escape? Oh, you're about to die now. That's your punishment." And then the other dude was like, because it was kind of messed up because the subhumans in that aspect, it shows you that the subhumans don't really have like an honor code. They don't have like a, these are my brothers. Like when we first meet Lauren and he like saw the guy jump off the wall and was like running because he was scared. he just takes his place. He doesn't stop him or anything like that. He just kind of shakes his head, takes his place, and the dude that was commanding was like, "Hey, join your brothers over here." Not join the other soldiers. He said, "Join your brothers." So there's kind of like another, going back to the classes that we was talking about. There's like a class system amongst the quote unquote human warriors. These are your brothers, these are your comrades, instead of like the subhumans where it's like, we just all happen to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, to your point, they had no type of camaraderie. I mean, they literally were in essence savage in nature.
Oh, of course. I mean, even look at how like whenever any one of them would die, like they wouldn't like mourn the fact that person died. They would like look at it like it was curious. Like they would be like poking them and stuff and like trying to see like, is there blood coming out? Like they weren't really like, oh dang, my homie just died. It was just kind of like interesting to them. And they just hoped that it did happen to them, I guess. But yeah, man. So towards the end of the movie, we see she gets presented, like after she gets taken actually to Necron. We kind of see that whole Joffrey switch from like Necron and Juliana, because we was thinking this whole movie that Juliana was calling the shots and she was the one wanting to pursue Firekeep and stuff like that. And Necron was like, first of all, I'm the one with the power. You ever bring one of these women to me again? And I kind of, based on that conversation, I think Necron was gay. Because he wasn't interested in her at all.
Yeah.
At all. Like yeah. Offended at the fact that his mom would even bring somebody to him to have kids. He was like, I don't need kids. Like, I am him. So, yeah, this again, I'm about to kill you.
How thoughtful, mother. I need no bride and no sons.
But you need heirs.
I need nothing. Next time you present me with one of your little sluts, mother dear, I'll squash you like a bug.
I wonder, maybe it was more so a power thing. Or like, when you get to that point where you have everything, I don't think he even had the idea or concept of relationships or being with anybody. His love was for specifically power and conquest, and kind of flaunting all that. Like I don't even think he was gay, even though I understand that completely, especially from the jump when every time he controlled the ice or whatever, it looked like boy was, I don't know what was going on, bro.
That's something else I was gonna bring up. Did you notice that? Because it looked pretty homoerotic, and I'm just like, bro, like, why are you making these kind of, why are you gyrating like this? You just controlling ice, my boy.
I'm trying to tell you, I was like, I think that was probably my only like real issue. I was like, why are they over kind of, I don't know, sexualizing the powers, I guess, of him moving the ice?
Yeah,
because like literally with every movement he was making all types of weird faces. I'm like,
what, sex magic? I'm like, what is going on here? Like, because when he controls people, it looks different than when he was controlling the ice.
Exactly.
So I'm like, is that a different type of magic? Did you create that magic? Because she can't do that. So what's going on here? But it adds to the questions that, like, like I said, back to like the art style and the storytelling. Like these are the questions that kind of formulate in your head, and it kind of builds the world without them having to build the world for you.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
But yeah, I thought it was crazy as hell when like he was like deeply offended that she brought Tigra to him to be bride. I'm like, if anything, bro, like that just, I don't see that as I don't see why. I couldn't find the negative. Like I couldn't find.
Bro, dude was tripping. Like that's why I said, dude had mental issues. There was no way. You see that? You see her and be like, No, you did get this trash out of here. Like, not even like on some, oh yeah, she would be nice to have around. Nothing like that.
Right, even to just look at, like, I'm like, damn, bro, like he just
But
like get this trash out of here, and they just threw her over the cliff. I was like, damn, this chuck trash.
I'm telling you, that dude was tripping for real. There's just way. There's no way.
But that's what they say, man. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So it's like he had absolute power. Nobody was messing with him on the magic tip, on the control tip. Like his mom tried to, nothing. Like he had absolute power, and she even says that she was like, Necron, I extend my hand out in friendship. Like, will you not take me in as a friend? And he just started laughing, bro. Like guttural from the belly, laughing like, I can't even believe you traveled all this way and thought I was gonna be a friend.
A friend?
No. Nah.
But no, that still kind of makes me think about like the real power scale that of the magic. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what I'm saying is like everybody was like, yeah, Necron got the pretty much the best magic out here, or the strongest magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
When but the only element he really controlled was like just the ice, in a sense. And I'm more than likely there was a combatant. There should have been a combatant when it comes to like fire,
Mm-hmm.
which we see later on. But just the idea of, I guess, him being the only person to study dark arts to that extent. But then it's like, then again, you see, or I think back to that witch, and I'm like, well, how much power did she actually have? Or no, how much power does the mom actually know? Like, you know what I'm saying? But they look like they all know completely different things.
Yeah, I think they kind of set it up so that there are like you can tell there's different forms of magic, because like she could communicate, like you could tell that the witch knew certain things that Necron was doing and understood some of the concepts that Juliana had taught him, but she couldn't do them because she didn't have like the formula. I think it's kind of like like cooking. You seen your mom make a pound cake, or you seen your mom make peach cobbler or something like that. You know what it looks like. You can identify it whenever you see it out in public. Hey, that's peach cobbler right there. That's pound cake. I know what that is. Do you know how to make it though?
Right.
The time that it takes to put into it. The ingredients, everything you need to make it. I think kind of how that magic works.
Right. It can taste completely different based on who's making it.
Exactly. It could be even more potent, or it can be less potent. So I think that Juliana kind of taught Necron like some of the bases, and like taught him what the instruments were to make magic, but he just kind of took it and ran with it and was like a savant with the shit, because
Yeah.
at a certain point she couldn't do anything about it. She was like, yo, I want to conquest Firekeep, we gonna go that far? And he was like, that's a far distance. And she was like, we can do it. She believed in him more than he believed in his damn self.
Right. Hey, unless it pained him to do it, that would be my only other thing, or my only hypothesis as far as why he would be doing all those extra gestures when moving that ice.
Yeah.
And then his reluctance to be like, that's a far distance to travel to Firekeep to push this ice. So maybe it was actually painful.
That might be. Because he looks hella tired after he got done doing it. Like, he's sitting at the throne. He's like, wilting and all that stuff. He looked like he was tired. Like he had just done something.
So, I mean, many hypotheses as far as like, what exactly the extent of that dark magic is. Like, just questions as far as the true nature of it, But I guess that's kind of the beauty of them leaving it up to interpretation of kind of seeing for yourself and picking apart the small details, like, you know.
For sure, for sure. All right. So one of my last questions is, what did you think about the fighting style? Like how they were, how they chose to depict like the combat scenes in this movie.
So, um, I think it my very first thing that I think about is the fact that there was no blood. You know,
Very, very
throughout.
minimal blood. Very minimal blood.
Was there even any blood?
There was a little bit, but it wasn't like it would spurt out. It would be like they'd stab somebody, and then not even every single time, but sometimes they'd pull back the sword and there'd be blood on the sword.
Okay. Yeah, it like just that was it kind of, I don't know, it threw me off just a little bit because, like I said, going back to looking at new style of animation and things like that, they go all in. Like anytime, like it could be the smallest little cut, blood everywhere gushing. So it's like,
oh yeah,
so used to that, and then looking at a movie where there was like practically none threw me off in a little bit. And, you know, I don't. I guess you could say it took away some of the realness of it, but at the same time, I was like, you know, I was kind of cool with it because it makes sense for the, you know, the time period that it is. You know, this is a rated PG movie, so
which is wild.
Wild, but, you know, that's besides
crazy.
The point.
The PG movie.
You know, back in, you know, when this come out,
83.
83. You know, we weren't sure what their whole rating system was like or what they based it off of, but
man,
hey, that was the only thing that that actually like stood out as far as like oh, but the combat wasn't like it was what I would expect, I guess, from, you know, an animated piece back in the 1980s.
I can dig it.
Nothing over the top. Very to the point, I guess you could say. You know, all the way up until the end. You know, when Black Wolf is fighting Necron. You know, I actually have to go back and rewatch that fight, pay attention to it a little bit more because nothing really, I guess you could say, jumped out at me fully that I hadn't, I guess, seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can dig it.
Like it was a. I'm not gonna say predictable. It was very what's the word I'm trying to use? Like it just made sense. Like how the fighting was, it felt just realistic, I guess you could say. It was just realistic, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of interesting how they did that because it's like even though there was no blood, and then even when they would stab people, like when they stab somebody or when they hit somebody, it sounded the exact same. Like the sound effect was the exact same.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you cringed at like somebody getting stabbed in the stomach or, you know, somebody getting sliced on the chest or something like that. It just kind of sounded like a punch.
You're right. And, you know, I kind of forgot about the whole sound design aspect of it too.
Yeah, but
yeah.
That's the interesting thing about the rotoscope thing because it's like they do so much more with less, and it emphasizes the fact that less is more because like when it comes to animation, like there's definitely like an overkill that you can hit. Like you can definitely make things way too bloody or way too, you know, fast paced, or like even when it comes to like the fight scenes and like the shaky cam. Like I hate shaky cam. That is such a lazy way to do a fight scene for me. Like when I see like an action movie and it's like a whole bunch of shaky cam, I'm like, all right, you could have added a little bit more dialogue for this dumb shit, or you could have just showed me the aftermath because now I'm just confused and a little dizzy at this point.
I mean that I don't know if they're appeasing to more so the, you know, how, you know, with social media, the attention span has been shortened.
Oh,
immensely. So, my take on that is they try to appease to people with short attention span. So a lot of movement keeps your attention in a sense of trying to figure out, okay, what is going on for real. But to your point, is dizzying and it's lazy. You don't even really see what's going on. Like I just watched an action movie today, and between the shaky camera and then the switches of camera angles rapid. The I get more annoyed with, or I get annoyed with both of those about equally, because it's like, well, like, yeah, in theory I see what happened, but I know that's not how it like looks. You know what I'm saying?
Not how it would look in real life. Yeah, it kind of takes you out of it.
It throws off the whole kind of thing. So like I was saying, like the realistic, kind of piece of it, I think is kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
Like this was very refreshing at the end of the day, of like the stuff that I would typically watch, going all the way back to the 1983, and thinking that this was in 1983. I mean, minus visually, was like they did a fantastic job in how they animated and did a lot of these scenes.
See, I was thinking the same thing upon the first like viewing of this movie. I was like, I can tell that this was made in 1983, but it's like conceptually, it's like they were way above their time. Like from like the design of the characters to like the dialogue to like the world building to the art style and like the artwork and behind like the like the background scenes and stuff like that. Like it was way before the 80, or I think it was way before its time. Just it was really advanced, I think, just because it appealed to so many different senses than just like, oh, this looks like a really good movie, this plays out like a really good movie, this is a good movie. It's like, no, this looks like a really dope movie, but it could also be a comic strip, but it could also be like a comic book, it could also be like an art book of just like the scenes. Like if they just printed out just the scenes of this movie, I would buy it as an art book.
Yeah,
to have, because I think it was that dope.
No, I agree with you on that. Like straight up. I wish they adopted, I guess, that style more, or I don't even want to say modernize it, because I feel like when I use modernizing now, it's in a negative way. So it's like I wish they just adopted that in more recent animated.
They would use it more.
Kind of keep that style alive, because I feel like in today's time with the technology we have with CGI, I mean, you could make a masterpiece pretty much out of.
Oh my god, dude! If we had if we had Bakshi and Frank Frazetta today doing the artwork for some of the shows that we watch, like, oh my god, use the same rotoscope technology and just incorporate like the storytelling of today, bro. That would slap so hard. Oh,
next level. Next level. I wish they did do a continuation of this Fire and Ice. I don't, or did they?
Not that I could find. I've tried to look up like if it ever became a series, or if there's like a show inspired by it. There's other and that brings me to the last segment of this. There's other animated movies from this time that are pretty dope. What is the name of it? Oh, damn, I just had it up. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. There's another animated movie called Time Masters. It's kind of shot in the same type of like artistic style. It came out 1982, so like a year before this. Super trippy, super like smoke a little bit, watch this show, and just freak out because the concepts are weird, but they go, and it's just like a lot of the movie is like ambient like sound, and it takes place in space. So like there will be like like a sequence of like their spaceship just kind of like flying through space, and you'll hear like the music in the background. It's real chill, but like the space scene is like real psychedelic and just like super trippy. And you'll find that same sequence going on all throughout the movie. Like they'll be talking to somebody, and instead of it being like a bunch of like, the camera's looking at this person, then it's looking at this person, then it's looking at this person. It has everybody in the same room, and just the background is moving. And you don't even realize it until like, because you're so caught up in the dialogue, because the dialogue is fire. Like, the dialogue is like, once it, like, I don't know, something about the 80s and the 90s, man. Like, they just knew how to like write like people talking to people. I think that's something that we kind of got away from in the 2000s and like the 2020s and the 2010s and stuff like that. We kind of got away from like knowing how to write a script where like people actually are conversating with other people, and it doesn't necessarily have to propel the story forward. It can, but it can also just be like really good dialogue.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you might just be talking to your homeboy or like your mom or your sister or somebody like that, and y'all not really talking about anything, but y'all having a good conversation.
Facts. I'm about to say a lot of today's everything is focused mainly on the drama aspects or like the real punchline kind of stuff. Or I mean, when in terms of animation, definitely specifically focus on animation versus, like you said, the dialogue.
Definitely.
But, I would say the storytelling has become very washed.
You said wonky?
Washed, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the same. There's nobody's coming up with any concepts that, actually give you questions or certain dialogues that would bring out those questions that you would, things just to think about, or just to even just enjoy the conversation. A lot now it's just kind of okay, get to the punchline. Everything get to the punchline. Going back to like I was saying, everybody got that short term. Wait, what was I saying? Yeah, I call it TikTok brain.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the attention span.
Attention span, exactly. So it's I'm definitely I'm even trying to think of myself like the last time I saw a movie or a piece of literature that was kind of just mind boggling. Oh, well, actually, you know what? I would say Interstellar was probably the few ones that I've seen that was like I still think about to the day of like, yeah. It just kind of gets me going as far as interdimensionally and thinking just on different levels.
And it I think it was geared to do that too, because that was like, I've seen time travel movies, I've seen space movies, but like putting it in like the way they did Interstellar it was
beautiful.
Oh my god, yeah.
That movie was beautiful.
It didn't have my guy McConaughey in it, so I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Got it, right? I agree with you on that. What'd you say that last? The name of the other movie was Times.
It's called Time Masters.
Time Masters. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to you probably on Instagram now.
Now this looks familiar too, and that's the weirdest thing about all of these is they look so familiar. Like it's like I know I've seen this before, but I know I haven't at the time. Like
you've probably seen snapshots and like the covers of these pieces, because I know when I first saw Fire and Ice, I was like, I've seen these characters before. I didn't know who they were or what context, but I've seen these people before.
Yeah, especially this image with the guy with the wings,
the angel. Yeah,
this like I definitely.
But then you also got to realize that these are like some world-renowned artists. So like a lot of people have bit their work. So like you've seen renditions of this and thought that they was originals, but didn't see the main, like the source material.
Right.
Because this dude, he low-key looked like Silver Surfer, just with wings.
You are right about that. A straight up, like down to the contours of his muscles and things like that. Like that's pretty much exactly how a Silver Surfer.
But then if you think about it, Silver Surfer also looks like Mr. Manhattan.
Yeah, that's also true.
So you kind of see these concepts kind of going and going and going. You like thinking like, man, that's an original thought, but it's not really.
I've been meaning to get into the Watchers as far as like understanding that whole verse, because I think I saw the movie a couple years back, and I before I knew nothing about those, those different heroes and things like that, and I was just like, perplexed, because I'm like, yo, where did these different characters come? I know that's completely off topic, but
No, you're good, because I mean it kind of it is off topic, but it's a topic that I want to fuck with, because
yeah,
Watchmen is one of the movies where like it's like the original The Boys, you know?
yeah, and I haven't even seen the original The Boys.
You've never seen The Boys?
I've seen The Boys.
Oh, okay. I'm saying it's the original version of that. So like how The Boys is like how superheroes would be in real life, like how like everybody's not Superman, everybody's not Batman, everybody doesn't have that kind of self-control. You're gonna have a superhero who's got like the power of invisibility, and he happens to be a pervert, so he's gonna be in people's
Right.
locker rooms and doing shit like that, stuff like that. Or you're gonna have a speedster who happens to not always be as cautious as he needs to, and he runs through people, and he's so fast you can't tell he did it. It's just that person died. That's kind of how the Watchmen are, and it's like all these people, they have like these powers, but they're human. Like they got these problems that like humans have. I got a baby mama over here. I'm late on my rent. I don't have nowhere to stay. I'm in a psych ward. Different stuff like that.
Yeah, did that start off as a comic book? The Watchmen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
In the 80s. Yeah, and that tracks. That tracks. But yeah, no, I've definitely been curious on that, especially because it's apart from everybody, I think, right? It doesn't have any ties to anything.
Oh, I think it's DC.
That's DC?
I think so.
Is it like tied into the Justice League universe, or is it completely
loosely? Like I think they mention some of the superheroes. You don't see them, but it's like they're in the same. Like they'll go to like a Metropolis or like a Gotham or something like that, but you won't really see Batman. It'll just be like them in that
city, which is kind of weird, because it's like, I'm trying to imagine how Mr. Manhattan was. I know he would have been bumped heads with, say, what's my Martian guy's name? I always forget.
Mr. Martian, I think his name is.
Is this Mr. Martian?
I think so.
That's crazy.
I think it's just Martian.
Right. I'm pretty sure they would bump heads at one point, for them not to mention.
I feel like Mr. Manhattan is so powerful. He's like, I don't even want to mess with y'all like that, because I know I would take out the entire world if one of y'all got pissed off and like wanted to do something to my people.
Understandably.
Like I created a whole fortress on Mars because I felt like it.
Yeah. Now that makes me want to rewatch that movie, because I saw it. Like I said, I saw it like years back, maybe about a decade ago.
Yeah, man.
And it completely confused me as far as like, who are these? Like, where did they come from?
People, bro. Why are they like this?
Exactly.
All right, but let me reel it back in. As far as Fire and Ice goes, man, give me your rating from a 1 to 5, and this is how we're gonna do it on Black Noise, man. We have a noisy rating. So how noisy was this to you? Noisy 5 rating is meaning that like it was way too noisy for me. I couldn't really get down with it. There was a lot of different elements that I didn't really mess with. It kind of took me out of the movie. A noisy level of like 0 to 1 would be like, if I see it on TV, I'm watching it no matter where it is.
Mm-hmm.
How noisy is it to you?
I think, honestly, I'd have to put it at a noise level. Like, is there points in there? Like, I can go like a 1.5.
You can do a 1.5, man. You can get decimals. You can throw some decimals in there if you want to.
At 1.5, because automatically, for me at least, any type of animation like that. I mean, I'm a kind of retro I like the retro style in general.
For sure.
So if I saw it on TV, I would be intrigued instantly just because of the art style and story. I love the story of it. Left me with a tons of questions. That's where I would have my loose, some noise knocked off of it, I guess you could say, or added on to it.
Right on.
Right. But nah, I actually thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Okay.
I do wish there was a slight continuation of it just to kind of see how the rest of that universe played out. But hey, I'm cool. I'm cool with a cool one and done. Get that one and done.
I can dig it, bro. Cause like I am too, but I would not mind a Fire and Ice show. I'm just saying.
Facts.
If they did a smooth 12 episode series, I'll be crystal clear on that one.
Maybe it was a show, so then they could get more into it.
Dude, they could go so like I say 12 episodes, but I really want 2 seasons because I want a season of like what happened during this whole thing, but I also want like a prequel to show like, all right, so how did y'all even get magic? What happened before any of all this happened? Like, why are y'all even at war together? Because I know it's fire and ice, and those are contracting things, but what's going on?
That's what I'm saying. And then throw in an off season of my boy
Black Wolf just need a whole season of him just wreaking havoc on things, bro. Just going through villages, bro, taking the prettiest woman and just wreaking havoc, dog. Oh my God, he was so cold for no reason, bro. I'm like, why are you so cool right now, dog? You don't even have a name.
like my thing is like, how he wear nothing? Like I said, dudes were wearing nothing, but so much grip.
My man had on a loincloth and a hood, bro, and was like, bro, I'm colder than anybody you ever known. And boots. Now he had a loincloth, a hood, and some boots, bro.
You never seen that in your life.
Looking like straight up WWE from like 1981.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's straight up.
God, Hulk Hogan had ass, bro. Bro, he was so cold. Oh man, so you said a noisy level of 1.5, meaning if you saw it on AMC right now and there was like 45 minutes left, bro, you watching it until the end, right?
Yeah, facts. Like I said, just seeing the animation, like drop me in right when Lawrence get up. Yeah, I keep watching.
Dig. I can see that. Shoot, man, if I had to give it a noisy level, I would probably give it. You said 1.5.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 1. I would give it a 1 for sure. There's a lot of things that like I had questions about, but it wasn't like I had questions and it took me out of it. It was like the more questions I had, the deeper I got into the story, which was weird because usually it's the opposite. The more questions you have, you like, man, I can't really get into this no more. But it's like, where did you come from? How are you related to this person? Why are y'all at war? Why are you not dead yet? Like, what's going on?
It would have easily took it to a 0 if we could answer some of those different questions like that, or if they built the story out just a little bit further.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm satisfied. I was satisfied.
I agree, bro. I definitely agree. Well, shoot, man. That was our review on Fire and Ice. Did you have any following, like, closing remarks or anything like that?
Dude, hey man, tune into this boy, that Black Noise.
Yeah, we getting noisy over here.
That's gonna be is that your tagline?
Pretty much, man. Yeah, we get noisy over here, boy. It's Black Noise.
No, that's right, bro.
You know the whole reason why we are Black Noise?
Because we black?
That's true. But we the opposite of white noise. So white noise is like that static screen that kind of like it blends into the background. We're the opposite of that. So we bring the background to the main focus. So things that may be in the back of your mind, things that you may think about that you think that other people may not be thinking about. We're gonna talk about that kind of stuff. Fire and Ice being one of those things, you know, a lot of people, like you said, you've seen the people before, you've seen these characters, you've seen his art style before, but you never thought that like it was a movie. So you bring that to the forefront. We talk about it now. You know, other people hear about it and becomes Black Noise. You know.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Hey, man, I appreciate you inviting me on, bro. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, for sure, man, for sure. Hey, if we do another one, bro, I would love to have you on for another one. You know, if you
Hey,
have
let
any
me know.
you like talk about, let me know, bro.
Absolutely. I mean, shoot. I can think of a couple things, but we'll talk about that.
For sure, we definitely will. Well, like I said, everybody, that was Black Noise, and that was our review of Fire and Ice, Ralph Bakshi and Frank Frazetta animated film from 1983. And this is Trey signing off.
Out.
All right, cool.